Hey folks, so last week Sleep Token announced a partnership with a couple of charities here in the UK. Mind, the mental health charity, and Dementia UK. And I immediately got a bunch of messages from people who follow me here on YouTube, Ko-fi, etc., saying that maybe my theory about the album, Sleep Token's first album, Sundowning, being about the stages of dementia, maybe that now holds a little bit more water, considering this kind of being quite on the nose with the support for Dementia UK and the links back to Sundowning Syndrome. If you'd like to learn more about that, by the way, there will be a link there to my video on The Night Does Not Belong to God, which we have a fairly long discussion about Sundowning Syndrome. But today, I would like to talk about something even more in depth. I would like to offer you a new theory. I suppose it's not a new theory, but at least it's new to me. So I, like many of you who watch these videos, have been trying to piece together the narrative, the lore, the story behind what is commonly known as the Trilogy of Trauma. The first album, Sundowning. The second album, This Place Will Become Your Tomb. And the third album, Take Me Back to Eden. What I would like to kind of give you today, an offering, if you like, is that I now think that potentially, and remember, everything I say could be bollocks, but theoretically, the three albums could be about the cognitive decline. Sundowning Syndrome in dementia is the phase where in the evening things become much more intense. Confusion, agitation, fear, they all build up as the shadows lengthen in the evening time. So viewing it potentially as early stage dementia, at this stage memory still exists, identity still exists, but there is a derealization, a kind of an idea that something has changed. It's almost like an emotional instability starts to creep in. In Sundowning, the album, we get trauma bonding, obsession, fear of abandonment at times. And also the idea that you need someone there to anchor you, someone or something that you feel escaping. Tracks like The Night Does Not Belong to God and Levitate feel like you're desperately holding on to some sort of emotional constant. As the world around you becomes unreliable or it feels unreliable, you are looking for that constant, that thing that brings you back. So, just like the onset of dementia, the patient feels like something is slipping. And as it slips, you clutch harder, you try harder to cling onto it, to cling on to that anchor point. That rather reframes sleep as the caregiver, as the constant. Sleep is, if you like, the fixed point in the chaos. And so Sundowning, the album, in my opinion, represents the phase where you still know, from a relationship, from a more emotional perspective, you still know who you love. You still know who these people are around you. You still know who your partner is. You still understand the love. But it becomes a fear. It becomes almost becoming terrified of losing them and, in the process, losing yourself as well. Now, that can also be linked back in numerous different kind of thematical ways to Jungian psychology, to the giving up of the shadow, the knowing that in order to ascend, in order to become one's essential self, that you need to give in to the shadow. You have to bring the ego and the shadow together to create your essential self. And that brings us to the second album, This Place Will Become Your Tomb, where we are literally being dragged underwater. It is an album full of disorientation and identity collapse. And therefore, as a thematic representation of mid-stage dementia, there is memory loss, there is confusion, there is even a lack of acknowledgement of the people around you. In Atlantic, for example, when Vessel talks about the people around the bed, it is with a sense of detachment. It also can lend itself to emotional volatility and a feeling of being trapped inside your own mind. Even songs like Alkaline, where thematically it's almost like your brain chemistry is betraying you. The entire album feels like being dragged under. Songs like Descending, Distraction, High Water, we are literally being pulled under. And in that, I wonder if there is a feeling of not being able to surface, of something holding you back, of still being conscious that something isn't quite right, still being in there, but not being able to put your head above the water. The same faces, but with less recognition. The same faces that you know, the people that you love, but not being able to have that same emotional recognition with them. And ultimately, and terrifyingly as well, it is an idea that you want to go home, but you don't know where home is anymore. The disease itself can become irresistible, and not in the way that we use it in the modern vernacular, that something is so wonderful that it's irresistible. I mean that you are unable to resist. And so with Take Me Back to Eden, take me back to the place that I was before. Take me back to when the night did not belong to God, when the night came down like heaven. The album Take Me Back to Eden rather beautifully, poignantly, and almost depressingly frames this perfectly. While a patient's identity collapses when they no longer recognize the people around them, well, they lose a kind of sense of self. It is almost the death of the ego prior to the death of the living body. The brain almost shuts down the autobiographical memory, pulling pages out until all that's left is scene missing. But this is where Take Me Back to Eden almost has a more positive feeling, as positive as it can be within this kind of thematic construct, because the album isn't about tragedy. It feels peaceful, a little bit strange, transcendent at times, if you like. But those who are in the later stages of dementia often revert back to a childlike innocence. People nearing the end while suffering from dementia often have visions and moments of emotional clarity. They revert back to childhood. There is a softening of the fear and almost a sense of acceptance in a way. And is documented with many patients. With that acceptance comes a sense of reunion. Your reunion with your childlike state, your reunion with your senses, with the clarity that you may have for a moment, even if you are unable to express it outwardly. In this instance, when one looks at the character of sleep, they no longer become a controlling deity. Sleep becomes death itself, inevitable, but in a way, peaceful. The night comes down like heaven. In a way, it becomes merciful. It stops being about sleep being this aggressive character that is battling with this person called Vessel, and obviously we will get to more of the law-based stuff coming up, but to frame it like the late stage of dementia, sleep comes and offers relief. It is mercy. Because dementia isn't just about forgetting. It's about the ego essentially being worn away. It is about the erasure of the ego. And ultimately, death completes that erasure. So the 3 stages of dementia mirror these albums in a very obscure but very pointed way. In Sundowning, the patient, the protagonist, they openly say, "I am afraid of losing you. In this place will become your tomb. It is the feeling that I am losing myself." And then in Take Me Back to Eden, in this act of ascension, in this closing off of this trilogy, it is an acceptance. It is, I am ready to let go, because nothing lasts forever. And so Euclid ends the story by looping back to the beginning. Just like dementia patients often return emotionally to their childhood before death. Because maybe Eden isn't heaven. It's just a place where the mind can finally rest. Although there are numerous ways that you can interpret this, and the law is vast and the interpretations are many, I'm not saying that this is correct. I'm just saying that as an interpretation, with the album itself being called Sundowning at the very beginning, with the obvious support that Sleep Token are offering to charities that deal with mental health issues and with Dementia UK, it just feels like there has to be a link here. And I am sorry to the man behind the mask. I'm sorry for the man behind the mask. I'm sorry for anybody who has had to deal with this in their lifetime, whether it has been family members, friends, whether you've been a caregiver, whether you've been looking after these people. Honestly, when they talk about angels, I know this is trite, but I don't give a shit. When you talk about angels, caregivers are at the top of the fucking list. And so, to the song, Take Aim from Sundowning. As I mentioned briefly before, in the early stages of dementia, there is a shame attached to it. The idea that the patient starts to feel that they are the problem, and they are aware that they are the problem, and that they realize potentially that they are going to become a burden to people. And so even just the title of this, Take Aim, and indeed as it's referenced in the lyrics, take aim at me for once, maybe that is an acknowledgement from the patient, from the person realizing, goodness, this is starting to happen to me. The internalized shame of cognitive decline, not wanting to be a burden, not wanting to be pitied, but rather for somebody to take aim at them before the disease does it for them. And take aim isn't angry. It isn't chaotic. It's almost a lullaby. I often talk about this on some of my Twitch streams about Artie, my dog, for those of you who don't know. Artie is, I don't know, we think about 8 or 9 years old. He was a rescue. And so without, cutting his arm off and measuring the rings, that's a very good tree joke, by the way. But I'm aware he's an adult dog now. He isn't a puppy anymore. And so often I talk about pre-grief, grieving in advance. I often find myself doing it, and while I'm aware that it could be harmful in a way, it allows me to rationalize it. And that kind of ties in a little bit to Take Aim as well, that there is a grieving before the fact that is happening here. If indeed this is related to dementia, I can completely understand. And as people know, it is one of my biggest fears that you may become a burden and that you grieve that in advance. You grieve the life that you are losing as this disease takes hold. And as things begin to levitate from your mind, as things start to change cognitively, because there must be a huge fear attached with this, forgetting yourself, forgetting the ones you love, forgetting the moments in your life, those snapshots, like me and Lauren call them, where you take a moment and you hope that you remember it forever. Having to deal with the idea that potentially is going to be taken away from you. I can understand why patients with the early stages of dementia push loved ones away, or rather want them to break away from the relationship pattern that they're in, because the fear is that you won't be in control that you may not be in control of it happening. And so the idea to take aim at me for once, I know you love me, but I need you to take it out on me now, because you're not going to be able to take it out on me in the future. The idea that if you're going to leave me, please do it now. Please do it while I can still understand why. There is a point with every dementia diagnosis where eventually the patient has to come to terms with, this is going to get me. We will get to the lyrics later on in the video. And obviously you can take a number of different perspectives from this, from a relationship point of view, from interactions that you may have had with other people. And that is the beauty of Sleep Token. And I shan't stop banging on about it. The fact that just because I've recognized this in a certain way, I've interpreted it in a certain way, it doesn't make it correct. Sleep Token, in its kind of purest form, the beauty of this band, or this musical theatre production, as I often view it, is that it can be interpreted in so many different ways. It can mean something to somebody else across the world that could be an entirely different to yours. That is the beauty of this band. It's rather why I find them so utterly captivating. But at some point, we are going to actually have to listen to the fucking song, and I'm going to have to cheer up, Whoa! Artie's here. But just before we get there, obviously we'll go through the alchemical symbols that are featured in the visualizer. But there's something interesting about Take Aim. It's written in 6/8, which means that it bobs, rather like I spoke about in the Infinite Baths and Look to Windward. Parts of those are written in 6/8 as well, which gives us the idea that we are suspended somehow. We float from side to side. It becomes listful, and there's some beautiful music parts in here as well. So let's move on. Again, my theories around the three albums and their links to Dementia are simply that. They're just theories. So let's have a look at the alchemical symbols first, and then we shall dive into Take Aim. So we have left higher the previous song on Sundowning, where the idea that perhaps we are, as something ascends, something is left behind, which is a prevalent theme in a lot of Sleep Token. So Take Aim, the first one here. I know there's a lot of I don't know noises here, but Take Aim has the number one just below me here could be interpreted as tin. Of course, these are parts of, well, at least on the whole, an alchemical process, trying to find the philosopher's stone, the act of alchemy, taking something crap, something like lead, and trying to achieve gold from it. Not fool's gold, because that's already been mentioned a couple of times as well. So maybe one could be coerced by a voice that isn't really telling us exactly the truth, but we shall expand on that later on when we start talking about sleep again. So 2, 3, and 4 here are honey, furnace, and rust. Honey, of course, will become sugar later on. The furnace and rust, there is an alchemical process. A burning is happening here. A chemical process is happening, and certain things are being left behind in the bottom of potentially a vessel in which they are being put together. Number 5 is common oil, usually pertains to olive oil. And number 6 is a variation on iron, which, of course, was explained in Dark Signs. Again, if you've missed any of these videos, there is a playlist available. Please just have a look on my YouTube page. They are all available there for you. So number 7 there is Fixate, which was originally explained in The Night Does Not Belong to God, which I think if you're watching this, maybe for context of Sundowning the album, it would be essential viewing to go and watch that as well. 8 is Suit. Again, we're getting left with... We're getting left with not precipitate, but something is being left behind. In order to make something fantastic, something has to be burned, and therefore there is always sediment left behind. Number 9, spirit. Now let's read this. Spirit in alchemy is the active presence in all of us that strives towards perfection. Spirit seeks material manifestation for expression. Ultimately, it is the one mind of the universe. And then we get to phlegm. This is, as the author here says, it's not the phlegm that you would cough up when you're trying to chain smoke and not let anybody know. But it is, in alchemy, it refers to water distillation of plant matter. So again, a distillation. Something has been distilled here. We've created something, but is it indeed being left behind? Or indeed, the triangle can sometimes mean fire as well. Essential reading if you're into Sleep Token. Please do find the link to this document in the description. And with that, we should rather listen to the song. So from 2019 Sundowning, this is Take Aim. Should be major. Don't you play the movers? Don't you feel alive? When I see you waking up, and it sends me shivers. How you love like weapons can. What a fucking lyric. For once. Just take break me apart. This drum pickup's just tasteful splashes, chokes. Changes the phrasing of the kick now. So we're in a count of 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which, again, as I mentioned, gives us a bobbing feeling. But the guitar, hang on, let me grab it. So it's in B major, but I'm not concerned about the notes at all. In fact, I don't really need the guitar to show you this. It's just the pattern. So we're not galloping, but we're at a canter, I suppose you would call that. We're having a little canter in some lovely green fields. And also, straight from the off here, you can't tell me that this doesn't remind you of the Shire. Especially once we get this little trilly just above the top. And not only are we in the Shire because of the going on in the background, it's also the top of the voicing, top of the male voicing, which is called the falsetto. Of course, Vessel uses his falsetto an awful lot and has a incredibly cultured falsetto voice. This is something that over time you can tell the artists he's listened to. Again, I've drawn a lot of comparisons between Jeff Buckley and Vessel in the past, or indeed the man behind the mask, as Vessel is the character, but we shall colloquially refer to him as Vessel for the benefits of these videos. So he's immediately into his falsetto, which gives us a kind of impish, ethereal feel to the vocals straight away. Particularly around the line about "Don't you bathe in rivers?" I imagine this character that's singing is like an elf somewhere just on a tree stump, sit here, playing their flute and their guitar in order to, while some beautiful goddess is bathing themselves. But as we will get to in a moment, I don't think that this song, rather like some of the other Sleep Token things we've dived into, whatever. But yes, Take Aim, like a lot of other Sleep Token songs, is very good with the soundscape of creating like a visual representation of an environment that this song exists in, and where this interaction comes between the protagonist, who in our experience at this point is Vessel, and the antagonist that is Sleep, the deity and the man. So from that falsetto line in the chorus, we drop down into a harmonized chest voice. It's much more established, and indeed there are a great many people who theorize that the different voicings in the records can often be representative of the different characters speaking at different times. So take harmony, a major third above, very pop. That little pan-pipey synth. Then additional supporting harmonies on Break Me Apart. And let's just listen to this pickup. Listen for the splashes. This little... So too often talks about how he uses his kit in the same way that Vessel uses lyrics. How he likes to express himself. He likes to add to the story. And with that little opening there, as good as it is technically musically, it also adds a little bit of colour. It isn't just, flats in Dagenham and we're in. It's much more cultured. It gives us a more beautiful lead into the second verse. I think beautiful. I was going to say beauteous then, and then I realised I already sound like a lot of the times. Best not use the word beauteous, Glen. There are little swells of strings in the background, and then we get this. Right, that's high. I think we're moving from what would that be, a D up to a top E, well, over. Vessel's folds are very thin, and you combine that with a fat tongue and brilliant placement. I know, but he does. I mean, it's so high, but the quality that it offers is that we're soaring into this kind of ethereal space created by this music, created sonically by this song, and it makes us ascend into the chorus. And also, because it's so high, it's almost slightly pained. You make me yearn for your embrace, sung like a siren, but sad. There is melancholy in this. So I would just like to highlight something here. It's about to change. Here we go. It's a tiny little note in this, but in the first half, the first 3 times this happens, we get kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, okay? Sat in a nice little block there, but then on the second time round, the kick comes a little bit late and it just takes us off kilter a little bit. We get kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare. And it's such a small thing that unless you're really listening for it, but please do, I'm just going to play this again, listen to the phrasing that 2 is using here. So I'll try and lead you on as best I can. Kick. 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 And then kick, snare. It's those little things in modern pop music. It's those things that take us out of the humdrum verse, chorus, bridge, double chorus, all of the middle eight, whatever you would. And don't get me wrong, I fucking love pop music, and sometimes the more generic, the better. When it's done fantastically well, there's nothing better than a 4-chord pop song. But with this, it's just offering a little bit more color. Again, as Tu always says, his expression, his way of vocalizing that something is slightly not right. Why was it straight, and why then did it go to the pushed kick, and it just takes us out a little bit. It just helps us. It's one of those things where, when somebody tells you, or rather, it's one of those things, right? When you start thinking about breathing and you forget how to do it, that it's one of those things that just naturally happens. We have a rhythm inside us, just like we have, a circadian rhythm. We have a rhythm to our breathing that we become accustomed to in our, our resting state. And then if somebody just something, and you start thinking about, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've forgotten how to breathe. It's that feeling with that little kick, just being that little bit later, it just changes it, and it's almost like we go, oh, that was a little bit different. I wasn't expecting that, and in a way that can make you feel. I used the word off kilter before. It just makes you feel a bit nervous, ever so slightly nervous. All right, behind this is a background line. There are background vocals here which are singing an alternate line, which is so difficult to make out that, trust me, I have listened to this a whole great many times so that you don't have to. But in the background, in the final, well, I know I'll be yours, the moment is perfect, behind those lines is the line, answer me, won't you answer me? And that is the line that you can hear just buried in the mix. I'm convinced it's answer. If it isn't answer me, won't you answer me? It is. But no, I'm sure. Listen. Anyway, answers in the comments on a postcard if you think it's something different. But it is there behind it with answer me, won't you answer me? Which in itself is a brilliant addition to this, because who's asking for an answer? It's always Vessel that needs an answer from Sleep in terms of the law up till this point. So what if it was reversed? What if it's the first time that indeed Sleep is offering themselves to Vessel and saying, take aim, come on, take aim, means that there is a question here. There is a question that has been unanswered. There are tethers to the rope. It hasn't been tied off. There is something open-ended happening in the background of this. And as we often get with Sleep Token, it's not so much a fade out. The tone disappears on all of the instruments. And we do get a definitive, quote unquote, ending where but everything, it's like going to sleep. It is the closing of the eyes. It is the fading into unconsciousness. A tremendous little song that I think is deeply underrated. And now let's take a little look at the lyrics. Let's try and tie in some of this lore. Okay, so if you've never watched one of my videos before, sometimes I like to kind of pull the lyrics out from being musical constructs, musical syntax, and explore them as a bit of poetry from time to time. If you like that, come and watch me on Twitch. We do Twitch streams there. We all hang out, and sometimes we will get... If you think this is wanky, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. So, verse 1. Wait, won't you wait for me? Don't you bathe in rivers? Don't you feel alive? And when I see you waking up, and it sends me shivers. How you love like weapons kill. How you love like weapons... Just fuck off, Vessel. Taking it back to the lore for a moment. And is this from the perspective of Sleep, or is it from the perspective of Vessel? Now, there are certain moments in this song where it feels quite pointedly and poignantly that this is very deliberately from Sleep's perspective. But let's try and balance it as best we can. Won't you wait for me? As far as we know, Vessel is already, hands asunder, my beating heart being given to you on a platter. So from a lore perspective, Is that sleep asking Vessel to wait, to just chill your boots? Because I promise I will, and from a more a base perspective. So to look at it from a relationship, just like not a relationship between a deity and a man, but rather to look at it from a modern relationship. Asking somebody to wait for you is, oh, I'm not ready, I'm not there yet. I've had to deal with these things, or perhaps there's trauma that's gone on, and maybe you're not ready for another relationship, etc. While the other person may be. So there's a tinge of that. Wait, won't you wait for me? Don't you bathe in rivers? Isn't that a little bit saccharine? Isn't it? If it is from sleep's perspective, don't you bathe in rivers? Aren't you this beautiful, impish, to go back to what we said before, this lovely, sexy little goblin man, elf? Don't you feel alive? 3 questions in 3 lines. The song written in 6/8, in a passage of 6. 3 lines which are questions, and then 3 lines which take on a very negative perspective as well. Now, this is repeated in both verses. So let's expand on that a little bit. And when I see you waking up, it sends me shivers. There's an and there as well. Vessel loves to add an and at the beginning of a line. How you love like weapons kill. When I see you waking up, again, that would rather lead us to believe that this is sleep, because sleep exists outside a deity, a god, a goddess, perhaps, depending on which interpretation you would like to take on it. So when sleep sees Vessel waking up, perched like the crow, at the edge of Brandon Lee on the edge of the bed. That's what it feels like a gargoyle, like something from the prophecy. It sends me shivers. When you wake up, it turns me cold. But that's not a healthy relationship, surely. One wants to spend time with one's partner in the daylight, surely. How you love like weapons kill. Let's add a me to that. How you love like weapons kill me. You love, the love that you give me hurts. It does a negative thing to me. It destroys something. It kills something in me. But just on its own, chaps, ladies, gents, them's days gays, how you love like weapons kill. Can you imagine in this day and age somebody saying that to you? It is sheer poetry, as negative the connotations it may have. This is modern poetry, and it's so beautiful. So take aim at me for once. Just take aim, break me apart. The key words here are, to me, for once. So, take aim, have a pop. It almost feels like the gods, potentially, the imbalance in this situation, the gods almost, in a way, being slightly antagonistic, because it could be, go on, lay one on me. If you're really pissed off, then come on, lay one on me. Like the big bully in the playground, pointing down to the little kid and putting his hands behind his back and going, go on, fucking have a pop, son. It feels like there are consequences when you frame it like that. Because if you take aim at me, and I'm going to let you have a shot for once, but then you better fucking knock me out, because if you don't, I'm coming back at you. There is a foreboding somewhere in this as well. So take aim at me for once. Just take aim, break me apart. Now, to break something apart has almost like constellation ideas about it. You can imagine, rocks being exploded in the night sky. The idea of formation of stars. It's so humongous. Break me apart. It's not take aim and hurt me a little bit so that I feel better tomorrow. It's destroy me. Who wants to be destroyed here? And more importantly, why? Verse 2, call, won't you call out my name like a curse on this world, like a battle cry. Fuck these lyrics, man. And you make me hate myself, make me tear my body, make me yearn for your embrace. If you don't mind, I'm going to go back to the dementia theme for a moment, because the idea that you make me hate myself, you make me tear my body, we go back to sundowning. Sometimes in the night, those suffering from dementia can hurt themselves, normally by accident. But there are also violent outbursts associated with sundowning syndrome and indeed dementia, particularly for mid to late stage dementia patients. So this idea of you make me hate myself, make me tear my body, but then make me yearn for your embrace. Like the only thing that is going to fix this is you. The only thing that is important, the only thing that can lead me away from the destruction or indeed self-destruction is your embrace. And maybe it is that the night comes down like heaven. Artie agrees. Call. Won't you call out my name? There's already been allusions to that in EP 1 and 2 there, with certain characters wanting to hear say my name again, depending on what your interpretation is. So call. Won't you call out my name? Like a curse on this world. If this is from the perspective of sleep, there is a level of self-awareness to it that I know I'm a curse on this world. I know I potentially can cause harm. So won't you call out my name like a curse on this world, like a battle cry? Won't you instigate? Won't you begin something? Won't you begin again, potentially? But I do find this fascinating, the structure of 3 questions and then 3 quite negative. You make me hate myself, make me tear my body, make me yearn for your embrace. Now, yearning is fantastic and it's nice. If you wonder why my hands here, I'm just patting the dog, by the way. You can't see him because at the moment he's just chorus 2. When you yearn for something, yearning can be dangerous, just like belief can be dangerous. Your belief in certain things, particularly when it's a touch gaslighty, you can fall for certain things. And then we get to the second chorus. Take aim at me for once. Take aim, break me apart. Love, won't you? And possibly one of my favourite stanzas in all of Sleep Token. And you know I'll be yours when the moment is perfect. I will fire and forget till we both lay broken. And you know I'll be yours. I just want to be worth it. I will run like the wind till you follow me again. Is it not gaslighting? Is this not a bit saccharine? And you know I'll be yours when the moment is perfect, as in on my terms, when I consider the moment perfect. Because perfection is relative. If it's between 2 people, perfect relationship may be perfect to one party, but it may not be perfect to the other. And you know, like he knows why he woke up there on the shoreline. There's lots of all-knowing in Sleep Token, or at least there is certain allusions to people knowing things already and yet still acting outwardly in response to them, or almost in direct opposition to them. So you know I'll be yours when the moment is perfect. I will fire and forget till we both lay broken. While this is beautiful poetry, I can't get over the fact that it feels a little bit contrived, and it doesn't, to me, sound like Vessel's voice. It doesn't sound like this would come from the man. Well, they would obviously from the man behind the mask, but the man rather than the deity. I will fire and forget till we both lay broken. Also, fire, passion. It fucking maybe, but why forget? I will fire, as in fire a gun, and forget till we both lay broken. I will be destructive. I will bring. Where's that come from? Anyway, I will fire and forget. Well, there was firing done in Nazareth, wasn't there? But Vessel couldn't forget. Can the deity forget? Is this the voice of sleep? And then we get the repetition again, and you know I'll be yours. And this is why it sticks in me craw a bit. Just want to be worth it. But Vessel, the character, has said, surely, time and time again up till this point that, God, you're worth it. I'll do anything for you. I shall spread the word of sleep all around the world. I'm going to go on tours. I've got these other blokes in masks and shit. And there's just, honestly, it's a big production. I just want to be worth it. Maybe that's the shadow then. Maybe that is a voice, a battle between the shadow and the ego. Maybe that's what it is, that I will fire and forget till we both lay broken. Remember, you have to break something. In alchemy, indeed, in trying to create the philosopher's stone, you have to, what do they say? You have to break eggs to make an omelette. Something has to break. In fact, sleep has, if you do believe the law, as we've discussed it so far, sleep has told Vessel on occasions, this is going to hurt. So maybe that's it. I know, you know I'll be yours, just want to be worth it. I will run like the wind till you follow me again. Run to, run from, run free. Free range human, there's merch. I'm not doing it. Because these lyrics on the page are truly beautiful, but I don't believe them. They don't make me feel, from a law perspective at least, that whoever is singing these lines is being 100% honest with their feelings. It does feel like manipulation, and manipulation is a common theme in a lot of Sleep Token songs. And if you'd like to know more about that, my video on Provider is probably linked up there somewhere. Go and watch it. It's about manipulation. Or it's not. And that's the fucking brilliant thing of all of this. Might not be. Might just be a love song, might just be an ode, might not be about dementia, might not have anything to do with the sleep being into certain lines and Vessel being another. This could all be bollocks, could be all bollocks. But the fact that in the year of our sleep, 2026, that we have made it here and we're still discussing this phenomenal band, that the deep richness that they have in the lyrical content, the incredible musicianship, the whole package, everything about Sleep Token moving into 2026 only makes me more excited. And who knows what we're going to get this year? Maybe we'll get a tour announcement for the UK, the EU, Australasia. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Anything, indeed, in the world of Sleep Token could happen. So, on screen right now are my members on Ko-fi. Truly the lifeblood of everything that I do. I couldn't make these videos. I couldn't research the stuff that I do for other videos. I couldn't spend the time if it wasn't for these guys. So each one of you, thank you so much. If you'd like to become a member, you can find all the details in the description. It gets you access to my members only Discord, which is a community led Discord there. It also gives you exclusive videos, not just about Sleep Token, sometimes like a day in the life. I've taken people around Holy Island when I've been on tour, all of that stuff. So there's a bunch of extra stuff on there, and you also get advanced access to my other videos as well. There's a bunch of stuff. There's like, if you're a sub on Twitch, you get merch. Oh, there's merch, of course, merch. It'll be here. There's merch. I've got merch. Sold out of the bags behind me, by the way. That's my one. 11 minutes we sold out of the bags. That is, thank you. Thank you so much for the support in 2025. Thank you so much for those of you who come onto the Twitch streams where we talk about music for hours on end. Thank you for everybody who's become a member on Ko-fi. Honestly, I'm so grateful. It has changed my life. This band has changed my life. And I only started listening to them now, I can say last year, but it's truly phenomenal. It really is. I don't think I've experienced a community like this in the entertainment industry in all of the years I've worked in it. So I'm very, very grateful. We'll be back next week with even more videos. Thank you so much for watching this. What haven't I told you about? Who cares? Fuck it. Catch up with you next time. Have a lovely week, everyone.